Today we are going to start a new series of lessons about the Dhatus. So to understand Dhatu a little bit and to understand the importance of learning Dhatu, we are having lesson of the interconnection between Dhatu and Ojas. So when we are living, all the living beings want to live healthy. So everybody wants to be healthy. So everybody wants to do many things in their life to improve the health. And Ayurveda is the science which speak about the life of a living being and especially gives lot of ideas to be healthy. Also, it gives lot of things about the diseased conditions to improve the health of a person who happen to be sick and give many ideas to overcome the disease, a lot of things. So when we learn Ayurveda or when we understand Ayurveda or when we start speaking Ayurveda about health, there are some terminologies what we use are dosha, dhatu, mala, etc. Because to understand a biological dynamic system, Ayurveda uses three entities like dosha, dhatu, and mala. Because a health or a living being in the balance is not in the static level. It is always in the biological dynamic rhythm. And the first one is dosha, which is based on the day-to-day interactive dynamism. That is the external and internal interactive dynamism. The platform where the interaction is happening is dhatu. And the outcome, the waste product, is called mala. So when we simplify it, we can say dosha is more of the functional aspect, dhatu is more of the structural aspect, and mala is in the excretory aspect. So this is for starting the learning process of dosha, dhatu, and mala. Then we go ahead more elaborately each and everything in the Ayurvedic study. So when dosha, dhatu, and mala are in the dynamic equilibrium, we can call it as a health. When this breaks the dynamic equilibrium, we can say it starts the morbidity and may lead to mortality according to the difference how much it is happening. So dosha is already, everybody knows a lot about dosha because it is the basic compartment of Ayurveda. And whenever we see any person, they say, I know Ayurveda, I know Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So especially you people are well versed in dosha. Now we are going to the next level, what is called as dhatu. So I want to tell for Ayurvedic students that we should know what really means in Ayurveda, each term or what it wants to convey. So we also want to know the word dhatu. The dhatu, the word is derived from the root in Sanskrit, dha, and it is the suffix tun. So what it means is that which sustains or that which nourishes. So whatever in the body which nourishes or which helps the dharana or to sustain is called dhatu. So the word dharana means that supports. So the basic function is dharana and poshana, that which supports and also which gives nourishment. Then we ask, what it support? It supports the sharira, that is the body, manas, and also the prana, the life. Then this dhatu is responsible for growth and development. Because the dhatu, when we are 1 year old, this dhatu will be in the smaller form. It nourishes, and when we becomes the adult, the dhatu is nourished, or it helps the development of each and every part of the body. There are 7 dhatus in the body. They are called rasa, rakta, mamsa, medas, asthi, majja, and shukra. Here when you read the translations, you get different ideas according to different situations. So when you read what is the translation of rasa, some part it is lymph, some part it is something other nutrition, or some aspect it is different. So always when we start learning Ayurveda, we really want to learn the meaning from the etymology and where the real understanding is happening. And rakta is blood, but it contains something more, which also having the functions of rakta. That we will come to that point later, because when we learn each and every dhatu in the coming lecture series or the sessions, this type of understanding is given much more importance and help you to understand what really it is or how it is applicable in the treatment aspect. Because in Ayurveda, everything is under, we are learning under the embryogenic anatomy. That is, it is entirely different from the cadaveric anatomy and physiology. So in the medical school, what we learn, in a cadaver, we see an organ, then we see this is this, and we see this is its function. But what in Ayurveda, how we learn is that from that zygote, from the one cell, how the cells are differentiated to do different function and how they pair different systems. So this way of thinking is entirely different. So we have to start in this level of thinking when we start learning about the dhatus or this deep Ayurvedic understanding. Then why dhatu is very important, or what is the uniqueness of learning of dhatu or understanding the dhatu? That dhatu is 7 in number. That is rasa, rakta, mamsa, medas, asthi, majja, and shukra. And they are the particular feeding system of the body. And most important is that it is everywhere in the system. When we say about the feeding system, we generally eat food. And from that food, how all the tissues of the body is nourished is because of the dhatu genesis. So from the food what we eat, it is giving nourishment to each compartment of the body. It nourishes the bone, it nourishes the blood. Every aspect of the dhatu is nourished properly. And having also the catabolic and also the anabolic activities. Not only catabolism, it also having the anabolic activities. Each dhatu has its own agni, dhatwagni, which helps the nutrients to absorb, which is homogeneous to the dhatu and make the dhatu. And also srotas, there is a channel or a transporting system for the dhatu through which it is transporting or mobilizing. And when in a body, we cannot see dosha and dhatu in a different plane, because dosha is residing in the dhatu. And this is the place or the platform where the dosha manifestation is expressed. And when we learn or when we read our shastra or the textbooks, sometimes we see dosha and mala are also included in the term dhatu. It is not mixing up the ideas or making confusion, nothing like that. When we have a feeling that doshas or the malas are also holding the body, helping the body to sustain, that is why it is also termed as dhatu. Because of its what function the dosha and the dhatu or mala are doing. If they are doing the dharana or holding the body, then it is also called as dhatu. also, when we learn in Sanskrit, when you ask a person who is a Sanskrit scholar, what is the meaning of dhatu? He also say this is the synonym for metal. But when we learn in Ayurveda or a biological dynamic system, it is the dhatu means rasa, rakta, mamsa, etc. In general, when we say dhatu, they are the seven dhatu, seven tissues of the body. Then we told dhatu is the structural entity of the body. Also, we told Ayurveda is evolved in the embryological anatomy. Sometimes dhatu is not exclusively structural entity. So this is the entities based on function also. So in the, as I told, rasa sometimes told as plasma, but it is not only plasma. Whatever entities, whatever structural entities, which gives prenana, that is the function of rasa, nourishment of the body, which is called rasa dhatu. And also when we speak about majja, generally it is bone marrow. But it is also the brain, which is also considered as majja dhatu. Then also in generally shukra dhatu, we say it is spermatozoa or the ovum. But what is contributing to the reproduction can be called as shukra dhatu. It can also include different hormones, which is helping for the reproduction. Now I'm just giving you some examples, but these type of elaborations are done in the sessions in the dhatu course, what we are going to start in the next week. And each dhatu elaborations are made in these lessons. Rasa dhatu and rakta dhatu, it takes 6 hours. So all the understanding, clarity of understanding is done in the session. Then how the dhatu, or from where the dhatu is coming to us, or what is the dhatu genesis? In the intrauterine life, first it is from the mother. Then after the delivery, when we becomes the very small baby, having only the feeding of the mother, breast milk of the mother, that is the thing from which we are having the dhatu in the later stages of life. Then after that, when the baby start having food by himself or herself, that becomes the dhatu. That becomes the substratum for the dhatu genesis. Then we have to understand from the food what we take, how all the dhatus are nourished, or how all the dhatus are created. And this also helps us to understand the importance of the food for the health. First we have the food. It is undergoing digestion under the presence of Dhatvagni. The Jadharagni, the Agni. That Ahara Rasa is the base for all the dhatus. From that, each dhatu, each Dhatvagni, like for Rasa, we have Rasa Dhatvagni, for Rakta, we have Rakta Dhatvagni, Mamsa Dhatvagni. Each Dhatvagni works on the Ahara Rasa and it becomes the dhatu. So there are different theories and also different hypotheses how this dhatu is formed. The first one is called Kedara Kulya Nyaya, that is the theory of transport system. That is, the water from the reservoir is equally distributed to different crops. How we do the same? There is a water reservoir and there are different pipes, tubes connecting differently. So the water comes to the bigger one, is divided into many smaller ones and distributed to each and every crop in the field. The same way, the Ahara Rasa is given to each and every aspect of dhatu, and it is transformed to the dhatu. Because the Kedara, Kulya, etc., these type of terminologies are representing the field and the water reservoir in the Sanskrit to understand the system, how it is working. Simile is used. Then if it is this hypothesis is working, every dhatu will get proper nourishment equally. But in the normal system, it is not happening all the time. So sometimes what happens, some people will, some dhatus is not nourished properly. If the dhatu is not nourished properly, the person will have anemia. Then what happens at that time? Or if mamsa dhatu or medo dhatu is overnourished, then obesity happens. We start thinking what happens, or there are another hypothesis or not. Then the theory of transformation, one is transforming to the other. So what we have is milk. Then milk is transformed to different materials. Everything is good. So from milk, we consider milk as ahara rasa. Then milk is transformed into curd, then to buttermilk, then to cheese. With milk, we can produce different eatables or food materials. So here what happens is that from ahara rasa dhatu is formed. From the sukshma part of rasa dhatu, it is the rakta dhatu is formed. From Rakta, Mamsa, like a series of transformation is happening. So from Rasa on Rakta is forming, from Rakta, Mamsa is forming, from Mamsa, Medas is forming, from Medas, Asti to Majja to Shukra, like that in a series form. So if one dhatu has any problem, it is all the transformation process, all the successive dhatus also will have a proper nourishment will not happen. And next one is Khale Kapoda Nyaya, that is the theory of selection. Here what happens is that from the ahara rasa, each dhatugni works on the ahara rasa and it works on the homogeneous aspect and it is transformed to the respective dhatus. So like the bird comes and select the food what it needs, the same way each dhatu works on the ahara rasa and select what nutrition it needs. So all these three things are happening in the dhatu genesis, not only one. Theories are highly explained, elaborately explained in the coming sessions. Each dhatu, how each dhatu get affected by different food items. Why some foods are much more important for some dhatus. If one dhatu have some diseases, how we have to manage with different foods. All those things are based on these things of theories. Next is the dhatu. What are the importance of dhatu agni and also the dhatu srotas and the upadhatus? Generally, in Ayurveda, we always say we have to be very careful about the Agni. If Agni goes low or Agni manda or Agni becomes increased, Tikshna Agni, then there are different situations happens. These things are not good for the health. So the Jadharagni or Kayagni, we say generally the Agni in the koshta, in the intestine, much more important for the digestion. So we also have to protect each dhatu very carefully by proper food, proper regimen, etc. Then only the dhatu genesis will be proper. If the asti dhatu is not good or asti dhatu is manda, then the asti dhatu genesis will be impaired. So the formed asti dhatu will not be strong enough to maintain the health. So we will get many different disorders of the bones like osteoporosis, osteopenia, the teeth will not be strong, the falling of the teeth, or the hair fall, different symptoms we can see. Same way, each Dhatvatni, if it is impaired, it directly influences the health. In the same way, Dhatu Srotas. Srotas is a channel, but it is not a tube like what we imagine in the normal thing. It is a transporting system through which the materials are moving. So each dhatu has a specific transportation, movements, etc. So dhatu srotas also has to be understood properly when we learn each dhatu. So each dhatu has mala, the waste product of each dhatu. Here you can say the dhatu mala like a poshaka kapha, poshaka pitta. Here it has nothing to do with dosha kapha or dosha pitta. The words are like that. Then we know the sweat, also the secretions from the ear or lacrimation, etc. are the waste product of each dhatu. And upadhatu is a very important concept, that is, it is having the similar function of the dhatu, but it is not able to give the proper status of a dhatu. So we will learn it elaborately in the coming sessions. Now we go for the next aspect, is that each dhatu has three important parts. One is the stula part or the gross part, which is doing the karma or the functional part, which is doing the function. And the sukshma part, that is the subtle part, which is contributing to the next dhatu. That is, the sukshma part of rasa is contributing to rekta, the sukshma part of rekta to mamsa, like that. And the third part is dhatu sara, that is the protective part of the dhatu. This part is directly connected to ojas. So dhatu sara is the idealistic status of the best performance of the dhatu. So whenever we learn in the coming lessons rasa dhatu sara, rekta dhatu sara, mamsa dhatu sara, etc., that is the maximum idealistic status of the best performance. So sometimes it will be more towards the best performance, sometimes the performance will be little less according to different factors. So it is our responsibility to keep all the dhatus in the maximum idealistic status or near to the idealistic status. Then it will be more contributing towards ojas. And ojas is the essence of all the dhatus. It is also called as bala, that is the strength, or it is also called as vyadhikshamatvam, that is the immunity. So this is the generalized immunity or generalized defense mechanism or generalized strength of the person. And the most important part, dhatu and ojas, is interrelated.
И важно здесь отметить, что между дхату и оджас есть очень явная взаимосвязь.
All the dhatus are in good state, then only the essence of all the dhatus will be good, then it will be contributing positively towards the ojas. The ojas is very good, it helps to the protection of dhatus. If the ojas is less or ojas is depleted, then the dhatus also get lot of turbulence. If we want a good ojas, we have to keep all the dhatus in the maximum optimum level and having a very good health. The person will not having much diseases, person will not get tired easily. Like that, lot of symptoms and criterias will be explained in our book. And the last part of our session after the dhatu, because we have 7 dhatus, so rasa rekta will be speak in one session, mamsa medas in the other, asthi majja. Then shukra dhatu and ojas is told together in the coming session. So we have an elaborate session on the ojas also. In that session, we will say how we keep the ojas maximum good, how we increase the urges, what all things in the aspect of food, thinking, everything to maintain a good urges. When a person happen to hear about urges, everybody wants to improve the urges. Then they start asking, what is the food for urges? What is the regimen for urges? How, what all things I should do? Can I do it with 1 day? Can I do it with 1 week? But if we have to improve all the dhatus, then only we get the good essence of all the dhatus. That is the urges. So ojas is the finest product of all the dhatu, the essence of all the dhatus. It is transformed after the Dhatwagni Paka. Each dhatu has a proper Dhatwagni Paka. Each dhatu should properly, dhatu genesis should happen. Then the essence is properly created. And the ojas resides in each and every organ. So the full body, it is influenced. Now I will give you a shortcut, the qualities of ojas. So when we understand these qualities of ojas, try to improve this quality without having any ama. So the gunas are Guru, Shita, Mradu, Shlakshna, Sthira, etc. So all these keys are contributing directly to ojas. So when we, because we cannot see the ojas, so we are inferring ojas, understanding the guna, we are understanding the ojas. Then the most important aspect of today's lesson is dhatu and ojas is highly related or dependent. How we understand the ojas is affected in diseases. If one dhatu is affected, how it challenge the ojas. Imagine a patient comes to the clinic and complaining that I'm having weight loss or I'm reducing my weight. And also, see, I feel very tired. Some of the activities what I was doing before, not able to do now. Like that, it happens. Then we send him for some laboratory test, blood test, then some scannings, etc. Finally, we understand there is a malignancy in one part of the body. Imagine it is in the rectum. So what happens is that the disease is happening in only one part of the body, but the person is affected, the ojas is affected because the disease challenges the ojas. Here only one dhatu is affected, but the ojas is affected. What is the importance of ojas is that ojas keeps all the living beings nourished, and ojas is directly proportional to life. If we lose the ojas, life is also lost. So the ojas is there from the beginning of the embryo and it is there till the last breath, from the essence of all the dhatus. So the importance of ojas is very highly essential to understand for maintaining our life, maintaining the practice of a physician. Then in the course, what we learn is that we learn about all the dhatus in elaborately, the functions of each dhatu and the signs of dhatu sara. Then what happens, a dhatu is under turbulence. There is some diseases in each and every dhatu. Dhatu goes low or goes high in qualitatively or quantitatively. Also, in this lesson, it speak about the causes of turbulence. What all things are the reason of dhatu problem. Then also we understand how we correct the dhatu, management of dhatu by understanding the guna, by understanding which is the dravya or the material to correct it or the medicine, or which activities are good for each dhatu. When it goes turbulence, what all activities we have to start or what activities we have to stop. Then Vritikshaya management, obviously. Then in different levels of dhatu management by ahara, that is the food. Then Vihara, that is the lifestyle. Achara, the routines, what we do. Vichara is the mental functions, which are good for the dhatu. What all thinking is not very good for the dhatus. We go very deep in that level. Then which all are the Kriya Krama, that is the therapies like Abhyanga or Potali Sweda or Vamana or Virejana, which all are the modalities of treatments good for each dhatu. Then the most important part, and which is very applicable nowadays, is that the relation between manas, the mind, and dhatu. Then dhatu management with the single herbs, home remedies, the formulations what we purchase from the shops, etc., etc. And the next part is also we speak about the Ubadhatu, Dhatu Sarada, how to improve the Dhatu Sarada, etc. Then about the ojas, and also the seat of ojas, types of ojas, qualities of ojas, the quantity of ojas, how much ojas we need, etc. And the problems happens to ojas. It is very important to know that there is no Vriddhi Lakshana for ojas. That is, if ojas increases, what all things will happen, because always how much is possible to increase the ojas is good for the health. Because when we speak about dhatu, we say dhatu, what happens when a dhatu increases? It leads to some unhealthy situation. But in ojas, there is no such symptoms when ojas increases than the normal limit, because we can increase as much as possible, which is good for the health. But there are symptoms, ojakshaya, that is the depletion of ojas, jo visramsa, that is the instability of ojas because of some chronic diseases or something. The stability of the ojas is reducing. Yeah. Then ojo vyapad, that is ojas under stress or a shock. Then also we learn about the management of ojas, what all protection or what all criteria we have to do to improve the ojas. Now we go for the questions.
So the question is, such conditions as parodontosis, are they related to asthidhatu? Is it reasonable to use herbs with stimulating effect like ashwagandha, shatavari, and sesame?
Yeah, when we learn about asthidhatu, we learn about the gunas of asthidhatu, and we also learn what happens to asthidhatu too when it is decreasing. Then we also learn about the food items which helps to improve the asthidhatu, which some drugs which improves the asthidhatu, etc. So some of the gum resins like laksha are very good for asthidhatu. Laksha. Next question is, please give a, can I read? Please give an example where mala and dosha are considered as dhatu. You want to translate?
We can see it in Russian.
Generally, when we are in the healthy stage, mala and dosha are also helping for the maintenance of the health, or it helps for the dharana or supporting. Also, some diseases, the person is so weak, like then if we give some laxative and if we are expelling the mala, it helps the tiredness, that increases the tiredness of persons. Like situations also, mala becomes the dhatu. This is the expected question. What food are best for ojas? The food like which nourishes the body, having the snigdha guna, shita guna, etc. are very good. I'll give you one or two examples, like ghee is very good. Then milk is very good. And I will give you n number of list in the coming sessions. Sometimes if I tell you ghee or milk, etc., and many people use it, and after a long time they say, every day I'm using this, I'm not getting good result. because we have to start analyzing from the Agni to each Dhatu, then to Ojas, then only it will be working. If the Agni is Manda, whatever good food you take, it will not create a good Ojas. Generally, we say you are what you eat, but Ayurvedic people say you are what you really digest. Next is, it turns out that with age, due to illness and an unhealthy lifestyle, Ojas decreases. Yes, especially we can see the Ojas is diminishing in people who are undergoing chemotherapy, radiotherapy, etc., which is very obvious in the society. Okay. Next is, it is true that to nourish the dhatus, we need to eat nutritious food containing animal protein, fats, vitamins, and minerals. We have to have a nutritious food. May not necessary to be animal protein. You have to have a protein. And you will get elaborations in the coming days. Yakov, don't worry. Next question is, please tell me what dhatu are nerve fibers. As I told you earlier, it is depending upon the function, what function it is doing. So this nerve fiber, so when you learn this mamsa, meda, sasthi, majja, shukra, these deeper dhatus, you get elaborate understanding why each part is included, why some anatomical structures are not included in the dhatu, etc. So for the moment, you can say it is majja, but you also have to understand the functions. So in Ayurveda, the direct correlations what you get from the modern understanding and Ayurveda is not applicable, because both are seeing the human being from two different angles. From one is from the cadaveric form, another from the embryogenic form. Next question is, do you cover the symptoms and signs of each dhatu? The slide in this, I told dhatu dushti lakshana, dhatu pradoshija vigara, dhatu vriddhi kshaya. All those things are the signs and symptoms where we have to go for a diagnosis and a treatment.
Could you repeat that, please?
This dhatu dushti lakshana, you can see my slide now. Dhatu pradoshaja vigara, dhatu vriddhi, dhatu kshaya. All those things are the signs and symptoms where we have to go for a treatment. Diagnosis and treatment. Next is, hello, as part of course, will you be taking about therapy for adults, or it will be applicable to children under 7 years old? We can say, generally we say the therapies which can be good for adult, also some of the things how we use the same therapy in children, or what all modifications we have to do, or some therapies which is the best for children. Next is or just limited to supply of energy of life. Actually, it is not limited. It is the energy of life. When this is not there, life is not there. So existence of life and ojas is directly proportional. If ojas is finished, or there is depletion of ojas happens, life is in threatening state. Next is Shilajit good for bones? Yes.
Or any other dhatu?
Generally, if Shilajiddu is also prepared with some other herbal minerals and combinations, which we use for other dhatus also, I will explain that in the coming session, especially bones and majja. Next is, do you use plants in your herbal medicine treatment that do not grow in India? Will you have any recommendations for preparation such plants as part of the course? Generally, I used the plants which is growing in India because I don't have much idea about the plants which is growing in other part of the world, which is not in India and some other part. The method of strengthening Agni Dhatu are the same as for Jadharagni. Generally, the strengthening of the Dhatu Agni starts from Jadharagni, and we have some more other techniques to understand only for some Dhatu Agni what we have to do specifically. Next is there ojas in a product such as meat, fish, eggs? Actually, what we eat is directly transforming to dhatus. Then the essence of dhatu is the ojas. So when a person is having depletion of mamsa dhatu, we use meat as a medicine there, or a food to improve the mamsa dhatu. Next is, will ojas increase when taking adaptogens, ashwagandha, Syngent is ginger?
Ginseng.
That is ginger.
It's Chinese
I don't
ginseng.
know about ginseng, but ashwagandha, etc.
Uh-huh.
Herbs are very good to improve the dhatus directly, and indirectly it is contributing to the ojas. Black seed oil, which dhatu improves? That is sesame seed.
Not sure. Just a second.
If it is a sesame seed, it is good for the Rakta Dhatu, Asthi Dhatu, Mamsa. Sorry, not Mamsa. It is also for Majja. Because of its
yes,
lubricating the Snigdha property.
Mm-hmm. Something like that, or maybe black cumin.
Cumin is very good to manage the vata, and it is very lakhu in nature. So it is not directly good for asthi. It is very, very lakhu. Because when we say it is good for one dhatu, we have to understand the status of that dhatu, which is in increased form or in decreased form. Then two different medicines are good. In relation with the Medo dhatu, if one person is asking me, if I eat a lot of ghee, is it good for Medos or not? If I drink a lot of milk, is it good for Medas or not? If the person is very thin and is asking to improve my Medas, to get some fat in my body, is it good? Or a very obese person is asking, is it good for my Medo Dhatu to reduce? My answers will be just opposite. You understood? So good is to reduce or to improve. That is why if you ask it is good or not, I have to ask twice. I have to think twice to increase or to decrease. After hearing the full lessons of Dhatu, you will get a clear understanding, and I can answer better with some lakshanas and according to the question to each different Dhatus. So I think the questions are over for the moment. Anyway, you will get the lessons of in-depth study of Dhatu from Rasa to Shukra to Ojas. Then the first one is Rasa Direkta Dhatu, the understanding, pathophysiology understanding. So I welcome all of you for the coming lessons. You can have a great in-depth understanding of the Dhatu, which is the very basic constituent of Ayurveda. So thank you all for the participation. Thank you, Alex, for your wonderful translation. See you with other lessons.